The bullet bill, Mario Kart Wii's arguably fastest and most potent item at the casual level of play. But contrary to what you may believe, the bullet has more than a few caveats that in the wrong situations can render itself, well, less than ideal. And there are a lot of theoretical concepts that you have to learn when talking about items, as everything hinges on probability. So to help you understand a little bit more about the bullet, here's some rudimentary item theory. The bullet in a 12-player room has a 2.5% chance of being pulled in 9th, 7.5% in 10th, 22.5% in 11th, and a whopping 35% in last. Now for the newbies out there, they may think that those percents are, well, accurate. But bewilderingly, they aren't. Hear me out. The bullet is a rental item. What I mean by that is in Mario Kart Wii, if you have a bullet in your inventory, that means no one else can pull another bullet until yours is used. And I mean not only activated, but exhausted. So put 2 and 2 together, if someone is holding onto a bullet, and you're in positions 9 to 12, your odds of pulling a bullet are now 0. Now there are only 4 other rental items in the game, which is the Shock, PAL, Blooper, and Thundercloud. Let's turn our attention to the Shock, as the Shock takes up 20% of the 12th place item roulette. Taking the Shock out of the equation converts our bullet pie chart to grow from 35% to 43.75%. We went from 1 out of 3 to almost 1 out of 2. That's a pretty big improvement. Now let's take our eyes off the chalkboard for a second and look at the bullet as an item. When activating the bullet, you'll get invincibility from shells, bombs, shocks, you name it, as well as a speed bump up to 145 approximate kmh on 150, and on 100 it goes up to 130. Also, people often forget that you could steer left and right while inside a bullet. So if you see your teammate in front of you, you could sort of move out of the way. It's like a fat guy trying to squeeze between a bunch of people in a crowded bus, but it's doable. Now for the range of the bullet. The bullet will last shorter or longer depending on your position. Well, more accurately, it's determined by how many people you pass relative to your position. In a 12-player room, if you use a bullet in last and don't pass 6th place, the bullet will last about 9 seconds. Now if you use a bullet in 6th place and don't pass 1st, the bullet will, again, last 9 seconds. This rule of not passing more than 6 people is consistent in every position except, well, first. In first, the bullet will last a measly 4 seconds, which is the minimum time for normal gameplay. Once you pass half the cast or get into first, the bullet will begin to smoke, which means it's ready to drop you. So hope and pray that the bullet doesn't throw you into a wall or a bush. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that the bullet has weaknesses, and yes, I wasn't kidding. The bullet's first weakness is the fact it's a non-chainable item. That means once you pull a bullet, you can't get another item until the bullet expires. Here's the big problem. The bullet has its own pre-programmed lines. Now, as most of us know, Mario Kart Wii has more than a handful of unintended shortcuts, which if you pull a mushroom or a star, may be possible. But the bullet decides the best way is the highway. So at critical points in the track, bullets can actually be slower than if you pulled a golden or star. And since it's a non-chainable item, not to mention the fact that the time it takes for the bullet to drop you differs depending on your position, once you pass the last item set, you're nothing but a sitting duck. Now these situations that you could be in are far and few between. I am not saying the bullet is a bad item by any means. It has its uses, it just has some weaknesses. A few final things that you should know about the bullet is if the bullet tries to go to its predetermined line, but can't actually reach it due to a barricade of a wall or bush or obstacle, it'll drop you near immediately. Also, bullets can fall off courses and are still affected by gravity. There's actually a place you could fall off in Warrior's gold mine while in a bullet, so be sure not to hold left on the control stick while on this section of the course. Also, the bullet can sometimes last longer than normal, like over a gap or mushroom. Then once you're over safe ground, it'll drop you. Bullets are one of the most complicated items in the game, as they almost have a mind of their own. So next time you pull one, take the time to remember that the king of speed isn't always the fastest option, but in the right hands can be a potent dodging device. Happy racing.